All right, here we go in three, two, one.
What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. I'm Blake. That's Austin right next to me. We are virtual again for this episode, primarily because we're in a bit of a bad mood. We're not gonna sugarcoat it. We're gonna get right into it, but we're gonna review the game against the Arkansas Razorbacks, the Hogs. And the Vols lost. So we're gonna go over what went wrong, our reaction to the game. But hey, listen, honestly, Austin, it's a miracle to me that we're even here for this episode right now. Because man, yet again, a heartbreak, and man, I was not feeling like having to talk about this because it sucks.
It does, man. BVS is real. It's alive and real. This is why we have it. Uh, first of all, man, I gotta apologize. Clearly, I'm an idiot. I mean, I guarantee, or I did a 42-10 score prediction. Uh, that didn't happen. We got beat. So unfortunately, it was not a great game, and yeah, sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. Ironically, though, you weren't far off in terms of how much Arkansas would score. We just didn't realize that our offense would not be able to score. And I think for me, that's probably the biggest issue I have with this game, is the offensive performance. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but honestly, I think the defense also didn't play well. I think Arkansas shot themselves in the foot a lot. I think that's why ultimately why they didn't score more was not because of us, but because of themselves. Now, granted, they are a good offense. Their offense is pretty good. But man, I mean, what you were saying during the game, bro? We were able to watch the game together this time. You were saying, during the game, what's the deal with these quarterbacks playing the best games of their lives against us?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with giving Arkansas credit, dude. I mean, they, even though, like you said, especially in the first half, they really could have scored like 28 points on us easily. They left some points on the field, but yeah, Talon Green, their quarterback, played the game of his life. I mean, he was dropping dimes and such tight windows where we had solid coverage at times, and that was like the times we had solid coverage, he would just drop a dime and kill us, man. I mean, Arkansas, even though they left points on the table, probably played their most complete offensive game, which is definitely worrisome from our perspective. But, I mean, congrats to Arkansas, dude. I mean, Sam Pittman, had he not won this game, probably would have lost his job at the end of the season. This is the kind of win that will probably get him another year at Arkansas. And they deserve credit, dude. I mean, it looked like yet another game where they were going to kind of should have won, but started to blow it. But in classic Tennessee fashion, we blew it. It's like, you know, my wife is wondering if like, oh, how upset are you about the game? It's like, well, yeah, I'm upset, but it's like if you punch me like 30 times at some point, I'm just going to get used to it. Punch me in the gut 30 times, sometimes I'm just going to get used to it at some point. And that's what it is, man. I mean, I've been here before. We've blown these kind of leads before. Unfortunately, we haven't done this much under Heupel, although, I mean, we'll kind of get into Heupel and how bad he was in this game. But, I mean, another bad road loss for Heupel, and I'm going to talk about that too. But I mean, we were up 14-3 in the third quarter, and it looked like after halftime we made the right adjustments, and it looked like we were going to come out and be the team we were supposed to be. But we didn't. We choked. We let a backup quarterback go down and score a game-winning drive, even though we let them score on that last play because we were out of timeouts and we didn't want them to just kick a game-winning field goal. He still drove them down into the red zone and was able to win. I mean, we literally took out their best player, and we still couldn't get a stop on defense. It was not a good game. I mean, if I just had to kind of summarize what I saw from the game, if you look back at our season preview and you took all the worst case scenarios we broke down from each position group, that's essentially what took place in this game. At
Yep.
quarterback, we had no idea how good Nico was going to be, okay? People need to understand there's been plenty of 5-star busts at quarterback in college football. It happens every year. So we had no clue how good Nico was going to be coming into the season. And we said it's a possibility that he's not the guy. And I'm not ready to say that after this game, although it's not looking good. But that's how he played in this game. If you looked at the season preview and you saw, okay, we say it's a possibility that Nico's not the guy. If you look at this game, worst case scenario played itself out at that position. He was not good in this game, period. He was not good in this game. And then you go to the O-line. A position group I thought was the best going into the season. I thought it was our most complete position group going into the season, and they looked horrible against a team who had the worst pass rush going in, statistically the worst pass rush in the country going into the game. So that makes no sense. What happened? And frankly, if Dane Davis and Johnson are better, play them at tackle. John Campbell and Lance Hurd were horrible. They both had grades in the 40s. Okay? And Nico played bad. Yes, he did. And I'm going to talk about that a lot. But you can't, there's not much you can do on offense when your tackles are giving up pressure every play. So they were horrible. The O-line, honestly, I don't even know if that was the worst case scenario going into the season. I say that. I didn't even mention that on the preview. I didn't think the O-line was going to be an issue like this, especially against Arkansas, who doesn't have elite pass rushers. And then you go to the defense, the defensive line, okay? No pass rush outside of James Pierce. That was a very real possibility coming into this season. That was a very real possibility. James Pierce was our best player coming into the year, and we knew he was going to be good, and he was good in this game. He was just about the only good player on defense, consistent player on defense in this football game. Okay, he was the only one that got a consistent pass rush. No one else was a factor rushing the passer this game. And even run defense, dude. At run defense, we made big stops in the game, but dude, how many runs did they gash us? 10 to 20 yards in that game. We hadn't seen that all season long. So the run defense wasn't even good. Our strength of our team wasn't even good in that game. And then you go to pass coverage, okay? The worst performance pass coverage-wise of the season by far. If you look at the linebackers, we said going into the season, okay, the linebackers could be really good or they could be really bad. They were really bad in pass coverage. And frankly, they haven't been good in pass coverage all season long. Keenan Peely is a great run defender. He was a good run defender in this game. He made some play in the run game. But, dude, those passes over the middle of the field that were wide open for Arkansas. Wide open. No one within 10 yards of receivers, dude. A lot of that's on the linebackers. It's a lot of that's in the middle of the defense. And that's a problem. If you don't have someone in the middle of the defense that can cover, then that's going to be an issue going forward. And then the back end, okay? Again, looking back at that season preview, our worst case scenario for this secondary was really bad. And guess what? They were really bad in this football game. Really, really bad. Okay? Yes, there were some plays where we had good coverage and Talon Green, just like you said, Blake, was just the best he's ever been. But it doesn't excuse dudes having 5 yards of separation consistently in this game. It doesn't excuse that. This should have been a blowout, okay? This should have been a blowout. We should have gotten our asses kicked. It was amazing. We were incredibly lucky not to lose by double digits in this football game. It's how poorly we played. And coaching. Dude, coaching. We won in Oklahoma. That was great, okay? We won in LSU in 2022. Heupel, and we said this on the Arkansas preview. We said this, okay? Shout out to my buddy Dakota. He was the first person to kind of mention this to me, that Heupel has had a bad road loss every season he has coached for us. In 2021, we got killed by a Florida team that later that season, Dan Mullen was fired from that coaching staff. In 2022, we killed by South Carolina. A game that we were better than South Carolina. And listen, I love our fan base, but for all the idiots out there blaming that game on Connor Stallions and Michigan for giving South Carolina plays, shut the hell up. We got beat. Accept it. And it's because Heupel, for some reason, likes to lose games on the road he shouldn't lose. That's what happened, okay? And we have to accept that. We got beaten that game. And then you look at 2023. We lost to a Florida team that won 4 games. We saved Billy Napier from getting fired. That's what happened last year. And yeah, Joe Milton wasn't good, okay? Joe Milton wasn't a great quarterback. Although he's looking like an upgrade after last night. But anyways, he wasn't great last year. But it doesn't matter. We were better than Florida last year. We shouldn't have lost. There was no excuse for losing. And then Arkansas, okay? And listen, I'll get into my optimistic look on the season and my pessimistic look on the season in this podcast. But after yesterday and how poorly we performed, it is hard not to have a lot of question marks for the rest of the season, man. A lot of question marks. And question marks about the coaching staff. And it's not just the road losses, man. Heupel called his worst game. The offense had an opportunity at the end of the football game to drive down and win. They had an opportunity. And Blake, when I say this, this is totally genuine, dude. And you know how much football I watched. I just got done watching all day NFL Sunday football. It was one of the worst managed last drives I've ever seen. He wasted both of his timeouts. We had a massive play to Dante Thornton where the clock was stopped with 35 seconds left, okay? We don't take a timeout, and we run almost 20 seconds off the clock and kill our chances to win that football game. It was Heupel's worst game by far as a coach. That's reality. I'm not saying we should fire him. I'm not putting him on the hot seat. But, listen, we have to come to terms with it's very possible at this point that he's a good coach, but not a great coach. We have to accept that. And again, I don't think we should fire him. He's done amazing things here, okay? Amazing things. Things that people haven't done in years, okay? So I do not take this the wrong way, Vol Nation, but listen, he's consistently losing these games that he shouldn't lose on the road, man. It's a problem.
Covered a lot of ground.
I did.
And I think that's pretty much that's all that needs to be said. That's a wrap now. Yeah, you covered a lot of ground. In terms of Heupel, is it a Mark Richt situation, right? Where it's a good coach gonna win you 9 to 10 games every year, but and nowadays, that is potentially going to get you in the playoffs if you win 9 or 10 games, we want a great coach, right? And a great coach goes on the road and beats football teams that they should beat. It's one thing to go on the road against a top 10, top 15, even top 20 team. I think we know now that Oklahoma is probably not actually a top 20 team. So that game notwithstanding, I mean, it's one thing to go on the road and to have to play, in Ellis, at a Bryant Denny or at a Death Valley, and when you're playing a good football team. This Arkansas team, like we talked about in the preview, they're good, right? And I was actually kind of, after the preview, I kind of started to worry. Honestly, the BVS kicked in, and I was like, crap, we could actually lose this. And, of course, we did. And, again, like you said, credit to Arkansas. They're a good team. It's not like they're a bad team. In fact, I think they definitely, deserve to be in the top 25. I think, they're better than their record shows. 100%. And that's not me coping. That's the truth, right? Like they're a good team. But with that being said, we are a better team. And like you said, we should have gone in there and won. And Heupel was not able to do that. The team was not able to do that. And I don't know how much, we talked in the preview about, is this a classic trap game, right? We're coming off a bye week. Are people flat? Are they going to be not coming out, with the burners on, and we're on the road, and this fan base is hyped up, and all those things were true, right? They ended up storming the field, right? I mean, the fan base was ravenous. Great, that's awesome. I'm sure it was a great time for them. Congratulations to them. That's awesome that you got to experience that. But the fact of the matter is this Tennessee football team should have gone in and taken care of business, and they didn't. And that's what sucks. And you're right that a lot of that's on Heupel. I'll tell you who that's not on. Dylan Sampson. Shout out to
Oh,
Dylan
dude,
Sampson. I mean,
100%, man.
Dylan Sampson went out there and gave his all for Tennessee. So shout out to D Sam. Okay, no shade going towards him, but everyone else, like you said, the O line porous all night. Almost reminded me of Justin Worley days when that
Oh,
man was
it
having
was
to
bad.
run from the Bulls. The secondary, they had some decent coverage at times, but mostly, there were, like you said, what I hate is when I see plays and I see an opposing receiver and a defender's not even on the screen. Like when I'm watching on TV, it's not even on the screen. That's ridiculous. Yeah, pretty much every and actually just the running backs in general, because Bishop, had a couple good runs too. So really, outside of outside of the running backs, the receivers were okay, but outside of that, every position group played terrible. I do want to talk about Nico real quick. You mentioned Nico. So I said something fairly controversial to you and the group that we were watching the game with. I'm out of respect to you. You asked me not to say it on the podcast. I'm not gonna say it on the podcast. It was a pretty hot take in terms of my opinion on how it shifted on Nico and if he's the guy or not. If he's what his talent ceiling is. I'm not gonna it was in the heat of the moment, right? Whatever. I don't think I'm very far from, even after the fact. Now that I've calmed down, I don't think I'm very far from that. Still, but like you said, lots of question marks. And here's the deal: he's still a redshirt freshman, okay? But I'll tell you this: on Saturday night, he reminded me of Joe Milton, being indecisive, being not getting rid of the football, not making quick decisions, almost also not being confident. Right? It's ironic, right? Because Sam Pittman talked about his confidence problem in his quarterback, and apparently that was enough to solve that. For them, and Green just went off. And then apparently that confidence problem got transferred to Nico because he lacked confidence, and for that reason, you pulled a curveball on me a couple of pods back. I'm gonna pull a curveball on you. I was gonna give you a pair of checkerboard socks, but now I'm gonna use them to whenever we lose a game, I'm gonna award the sock award. Nico Yamaleava, you played like a sock. Okay, you played like a freaking pair of socks, man. It just stank. You stank. Okay.
Yeah, he
So
did.
the sock award goes to Nico for that game.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, I this had again. He is a freshman. That's a good point. That's fair. Um, People have to understand something. Nico didn't play that well against NC State, and he didn't play that well against Oklahoma. And it will look like he played well. He did make good throws. There's a difference in making good throws and playing well. Okay, I'm a Colts fan. Okay, and that's news to our podcast listeners. And some of them might hate me because they're Titans fans. That's fine. I'm a Colts fan because of Peyton. Okay, and I watch Anthony Richardson. He has made some of the greatest throws ever. He's not a good quarterback. Okay? So just because you have some good throws doesn't mean you're a good quarterback. And I'm not writing Nico off. Okay? I'm not writing him off. Without question, I'm not. But he made a lot of bad plays in the NC State game, a lot of turnover-worthy plays in the NC State game. He made bad plays in the Oklahoma game. All right? And in this game, he was atrocious. Okay? Don't make excuses for Nico in this game. Yes, the O-line was bad, okay? But that's not an excuse because when he had a clean pocket, he held the ball too long, and a lot of those sacks are on Nico. And at the end of the game, and in the second half in particular, it's almost like Nico was broken. He could not, And it might have been the defense, and he had never seen the look before, and it was confusing him. But he could not throw the ball. He would not throw the ball. Every time he would either take a sack or he would scramble. He literally would not release the ball. And for all the people wanting to defend this game, and I'm just talking about this game, okay? This game, Nico was not accurate at all. Okay,
Yeah.
he had a deep shot down the field. Okay, I believe it was Squirrel. My mind might be wrong about that. I can't remember who it was. I believe it was Squirrel. If it wasn't, my bad. I watched the game. Just forget who the receiver was. He had somebody open down the field. They had 3 yards of separation, and it was a very tough throw. I acknowledge that, but he missed them. Okay. I'm fine with Nico taking some negative plays if he hits that big time throw, but he didn't, and he wasn't hitting it. And you said he's Joe Milton-esque. He literally had a Joe Milton moment at the end of the football game when it's 4th and 6, and yes, there is the likelihood of scoring on that play is very low. The likelihood of scoring when you run out of bounds is 0. Okay, if you give your guy an opportunity. Maybe it's 1%. It's better than 0%. It's better than 0. Okay? So you just can't run out of bounds, man. You just can't. Okay? You have to throw it. And like I said, it was something with him that was just broken. Like, he just couldn't throw the ball. I don't know if he's scared about throwing a pick. Maybe he's worried. He's watching his highlights and he has too many picks in his opinion. I don't care. You have a big-time arm. Make a throw. Try to make a throw. There
And
was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I mean you're exactly right. Like that's why he reminds me so much of Joe Milton. And it's kind of starts to make me worry. Is this coaching staff coaching these quarterbacks this way to where they're favoring not making a mistake over trying to make a play, right? Because yeah, he's not taking shots, and again, like my hope, I'm like you, I'm not. I hope he ends up being the guy. We need him to be the guy. So it's not like I'm sitting here rooting for him to not be. But he there's some sort of confidence problem, like I said, where he's not confident in making those throws. Like you said, I don't know if it was the defense was confusing him or what. There's some sort of confidence problem or just decision making, or again, I don't know if it's the coaching staff coaching them this way. But it reminded me so much of Joe Milton just not being decisive and not making plays. And my hope is that, again, that he, as a redshirt freshman, he's going to continue to learn and grow and become better. But here's 2 things. One, we live in a world now where redshirt freshmen come in and they make a difference. Now I know they're few and far between in terms of great star players when they're young. But the point is there are players out there that come in and they can make a difference immediately. They have that it factor. And so I was hoping Nico was that guy, but it looks like he's going to need some time to learn. But then number 2, I in terms of learning, he again, he's a redshirt freshman, so I hope he does learn and get better. But you're not going to be able to do that if you don't make decisions. If you just take the sack every time you scramble, in order to grow and get better and practice get those in-game reps of making those throws, you gotta try to make them.
100%,
I
man.
mean, I don't know, and he's never going to be able to grow if he doesn't, get out there and try to make a play. And so, yeah. And again, there's plenty of, responsibility to go around, like you said, with the coaching staff, how it was called and things like that. I'm not trying to put it all on Nico. It's disappointing that, he all of a sudden, looks like he, and he's kind of soft spoken too. So I'm like, man, I'm worried. Like, is he actually the leader that we were told he is supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
or is he scared?
Yeah, and you say you're um, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, man. Like he wasn't good in this football game, and you talked about how we're not sure if he's the guy, and we're not putting it all on him. Well, we need him to be like
Right.
we need him to be the difference maker. If we want to go far this season, we have to have him be the difference maker. We talked about on the preview, and it's been a theme on this show where we have said, okay, we haven't seen him have to be the dude. We haven't seen him have to make throws in big moments. Well, it happened, and he didn't, and that's the reality. So we have to come to terms with it's a possibility that Nico isn't the quarterback we thought he could be. Now, it's also listen. There's definitely an optimistic view of this game and this season, and I'll kind of get into that now. Um, Look around college football. This Saturday was possibly the most historic Saturday when it comes to upsets. Go look around the league, man. I mean, 5 top 11 teams lost yesterday. It was an unbelievable weekend. It was one of those weekends that seemed like chaos could happen because there wasn't a lot of big games. Game day was in California for that game, and Cal blew that game. Miami almost lost too. But anyways, it felt like one of those Saturdays. So we can have an optimistic view and we can say, okay, we were a victim to upset Saturday. Okay, and there's never been a more forgiving time in college football to lose a game. All right, I mean, the 12 in the 12-team playoff format, we can afford a loss. We can afford a loss. We're not out of it. We're still ranked 8th in the country by the AP poll, although the AP poll doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The point is that the season's not over, okay? And you can say, okay, another optimistic view, redshirt freshman quarterback. As a team, we had our worst performance of the season, and we got our worst performance out of the way in week 6. Okay, it's better to do that in week 6 than an Alabama week or Georgia week or Florida week or and I'm not going to talk about SEC championship, but if that were to happen in that week, it's better to get it out of the way early than later. That's the optimistic view. The pessimistic view is that a lot of the worries we had coming into the season have just come to fruition, and that the teams we played before this were just not good. Okay, and we took advantage of bad opponents, and that we might not have an elite coach. We might not have a coach that can take us to the next level. Okay, kind of like the point you were making with Mark Richt. We might not have an elite football coach. We might not have an elite quarterback. Okay, and that's kind of the pessimistic view on the season, and that we have to recalibrate expectations. And maybe this is an 8-4 football team. It's very possible. Just because we're ranked 8th right now doesn't mean we're the 8th best team. Okay, we will know in a couple weeks. Like, we play the games for a reason, so we'll know. But to me, that's the pessimistic view on the team. It's like it's not a very good team. It's not as good as a team as we thought. And I think I'm somewhere in the middle of that. Like, it's Nico's probably not as good as people were making him out to be. Now he could possibly still get there. And I could see a scenario where we still win 10 games this season. I could definitely see that scenario. But I could also see the scenario where we go 8-4, and it's a very disappointing season, and we start asking question marks, or we start having questions and saying, okay, can Josh Heupel lead this team to an SEC championship game, or even a playoff appearance? Like, it seemed like, I mean, we were essentially locked to be in the playoffs. We were essentially locked. Well, now the road is a lot tougher. It's a lot tougher road now.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, it's not only do we have question marks about how good are we, right? And are, like you said, are the question marks falling to the negative side of the possibility, the realm of possibility? Not only that, but all of a sudden like you said, like you just said, the road's looking a lot tougher. Because you've got, I mean, obviously Alabama's going to be a difficult football game. Georgia's going to be a difficult football game in Georgia. Okay. But you were talking on Saturday night about how Florida is all of a sudden looking like they're starting to steady their ship. Kentucky is not a pushover team. Vanderbilt, shout out to the Commodores.
Yeah.
Right up there with one of the great upsets in college football history.
Things are bleak right now, but as Vol fans, you can be comforted by one thing: you didn't lose to Vanderbilt on Saturday. Alabama did. Okay, Alabama fans are rock bottom. They're realizing that Kalen DeBoer is not the greatest coach ever. Dude, there was some. Listen, I'm getting off on a tangent. Okay, all right, and because it's mind-boggling to me. There were some fans out there for Alabama who legitimately thought that it was time to get rid of Nick Saban and that Kalen DeBoer was a better coach right now. You're complete idiots. I can't.
Outside of your damn mind.
I can't with that, bro. I can't. Okay. Anyways, they got their own problems. We do too. All right, we're right there. We would have made fun of Bama way more on this podcast had we won. But hey, we lost too. It's upset Saturday. It happens. But Kalen DeBoer,
Nick Saban,
ain't the one, bro.
The greatest of all time, Nick Saban would not lose to Vanderbilt. So,
of course not.
So yeah, any Alabama fans who are out there, listen, like, Philip Fulmer, is not a great analogy, right? Because Philip Fulmer was starting to fall behind the times in the game, and he was starting to show signs of, like him not being competitive. But my point is it's kind of an analogy where some Tennessee fans, we think the grass is always greener, and all of a sudden you find out that it's not. So, careful what you wish for when you want to get rid of a national championship winning football coach. But Nicholas Saban, the greatest football coach of all time, absolutely foolish that you think this DeBoer is going to come in and be a better coach.
There is national analysts calling that dude the best coach in the country. I mean, bro, like, we have 26 subscribers. You will never get that kind of idiot analysis out of me, bro. Ever. I will never say some dumb shit like that ever in my life. And listen, I'm mad at Heupel right now. I just called him potentially not an elite coach. That's not a bold take. I'm not calling for his head. But calling Kalen DeBoer the best coach in the country, God, what idiots. Complete morons.
Foolish, but nevertheless, Alabama, they still got talent, right? So despite him not being Nick Saban, they still have talent, right? So that's going to be a difficult game. Florida's looking like a difficult game now, and plus it's Florida. We've talked about how Florida is, for whatever reason, will without a doubt play their best game against us. We will without a doubt play our worst game against them. That's how it goes. Kentucky's not Kentucky's not going to be an easy win. Vanderbilt's not going to be an easy win. Of course, there's Georgia. None of these games are looking. Only outside of a couple, our schedule's not looking that easy anymore. So, you're right. It's there's plenty of room for an absolute worst case scenario. There's still possibility of making the playoff. Obviously, that's what we hope. That's what we hope, is that this team rights the ship. But here's the deal, bro, and I'm about to get on my rant, okay? And this will be the last thing I say. You can give us some final analysis, and then we can be done. This is my last rant, okay? Nico, we need Nico to learn and get better. Even the coaching staff, Josh Heupel, we think about coaches and we think about, we just railed on old Kalen. The thing is coaches, just like players, can get better over time. You learn, you grow, you get better. So I hope Heupel continues to grow and figures out this road win problem, right? Where you're losing to these teams on the road that you should not be losing to. We were the better football team. And you got beat, and that, the coach has to take that responsibility. So I hope he does. I hope he learns. I hope he grows. I hope Nico grows. I hope every position group grows and learns from this game. And I hope that we can salvage the season. And I think I'm probably with you. I think I'm probably in the middle of the road. I think we still end up somewhere around 9-3. Now, um, but I hope that we can push and salvage this season. But you know what it's going to take? It's going to take someone stepping up and saying it's not going to happen again. It's going to take someone stepping up, taking responsibility, and saying, "Hey, you know what? This team, follow me, and we're going to continue this season, and we are not going to almost like a Tim Tebow-esque moment." Now, Tim Tebow had his moment, right? And that was a great moment in college football history, right? I'm not asking anyone to be Tim Tebow, but what I am asking you to do is to care that much. I'm asking you to actually want to win and want to and not only want to win but hate losing. Be embarrassed, be shamed by the fact that you went in and lost to a team that you should not have lost to. You got bullied by a team that you should have been bullying. Okay? Someone on this football team, I don't know if it's Dylan Sampson, I don't know if it's Heupel, I don't know, someone needs to step up and say, "You know what? Team, follow me. It's not going to happen again. We're going to go through and win." And obviously, I'm not on the team, right? So I can talk a big game here sitting in my chair. But all I know is go Vols. That's all I know,
Yes,
baby.
sir.
You know? And so that's what I need someone on the team to freaking step up and do. And Nico, I would love for it to be Nico. It's looking like Nico has a confidence problem. It's looking like Nico's a little scared, a little skittish, a little soft spoken. So I don't know if it is him. Unfortunately, I don't think it is going to be him. But someone on this football team needs to step up and say, "You know what? We are going to play to our, I'm going to hold everyone on this football team accountable and make sure that we all play to our potential and go out there and have a great season." Because like you said, it's not over. They especially with all these teams drop. I mean, heck, pretty much everyone in the SEC, if I'm not mistaken, has a loss now, right? Or I
Except
think
Texas.
there's Texas, right? And Texas still has plenty of tough games on their schedule. Okay, so the door is wide open to still make the playoffs. Someone needs to step up, say, "You know what? I'm going to give my all for Tennessee, and I'm going to make sure the rest of this team gives their all for Tennessee the rest of the season."
Yeah, it's a great point you made, dude. I love the Tim Tebow analogy. I made the exact same. I don't even think I made that analogy to you. I think we probably just made it both separately when he had that speech after the Mississippi State game. And I hate Florida, man, but that was electric, dude. You need that kind of leadership to light a fire under this team's ass to realize, okay, we have talent, we have potential, and that wasn't us. So let's not do it again. So it's really going to be a test on Heupel's culture. We talked about Heupel's culture after the Oklahoma game, excuse me, and it looked phenomenal. It looked like he had everyone bought in. So now, okay, you've been tested. Your back's against the wall. How are you going to respond? Is it true? Was it true? Was the culture really what we thought it was, or was it a facade? And that's why we play these games. We're going to see. Okay. They have an opportunity to have this be a moment, because a lot of teams take a loss and they say, okay, this ain't us. Like you said, this ain't us, and we're never going to play like that again. We're never going to play like that again.
Because these guys love to talk about adversity, right? Oh, we
Mm-hmm.
had so much adversity. Here's your adversity. And you
Yep.
talk about how you love to respond to it, and you love adversity, and you're gonna bounce back from it because you're some tough big guy. Do it. This was your adversity. So how are you gonna respond?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have an opportunity now to respond to it and to listen. This Florida game, we're gonna know a lot. Okay, this Florida game now is the most crucial game of the season. Okay, this could be the most crucial game in Josh Heupel's career. Frankly, this could be a game that can take this team and push it to the next level we need to be this season, and it can be a game where, or it could be a game where we're talking about Heupel not being our coach, and we don't want that. Okay, because Heupel's a great football coach or a good football coach, and I don't want to talk about those things. But we need to go out and have. I would like to see the most complete performance of Heupel's career next Saturday. I don't want to, like the scoreboard matters. The performance matters. I always say that the performance matters. We need to go out there and look dominant. Okay, we need to look dominant on all phases of the game. And if we don't this season, and I don't care if we win, frankly. Like, I want to win. And if we lose, it's, you know, I don't even want to talk about that. That's worst case scenario. If we lose, season's over. We have a lot of questions. But even if we win, we could have questions. Okay, we could have questions. The line before the Arkansas game for the Florida game opened up at 20 points. All right, Vegas doesn't like to lose money, bro. Like, they're not there doing that because they are Vols fans, okay? They're doing that because they thought this Tennessee team, was that much more talented than Florida. Now, it ain't.
Touchdown.
Yeah. No,
Well,
it was
2 touchdowns against Arkansas, 3 touchdowns against Florida.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And it's not going to be 20 points going into the Florida game. That's about to come down to about 10. But listen, the performance is going to matter in this football game, okay? How you look is going to matter. Because, listen, I've been saying that all season about other teams, and I've been saying that about this team. We've looked dominant through 4 games, and that matters. How you win matters. Well, we got our asses kicked Saturday. Period. Point blank. Got your asses kicked. Okay? So, how you look next Saturday in Neyland Stadium with 102,000 people on your side, because you know Vol Nation's going to show up still. Like, all the crap we've been through, this is just another Saturday for us. This is just another Saturday for us. So we're going to be there, and the team needs to show the hell up and beat the hell out of Florida. Beat the hell out of Florida.
Show us who you are. Who are you, right? This is like you're exactly right, bro. You're exactly right. How we win this football game against Florida, and we better win, by God.
Yeah,
we better beat the shit out of them. And how we win this football game is going to show me who you are. Who are you, Nico Iamaleava? Who are you? Who are you, Dylan Sampson? Who are you, Lance Hurd and John Campbell? Who are you, Josh Heupel? Who are you? Because if you come out and you show me that you're still crying about this loss to Arkansas, right? And that you haven't lit a fire under yourself, that you want to come out and win football games because you hate losing, then that tells me all I need to know. That tells me everything I need to know about you. But we need this team. We need someone to step up and say, no, we're coming out and we're going to demolish the Florida Gators because we hate the Gators first and foremost, and number 2, we're going to show the world who we are. And if that doesn't happen, then like you said, then there's going to be plenty of questions for the rest of the season, and it's going to be tough for me personally to keep coming on here and having to talk about these things. It's going to be tough because I love the Vols, and it sucks. I probably love them too much because it affects me on a personal level. But I know I said that I was done talking, but anyway, yeah, you got me fired up because you're exactly right. It's going to tell us exactly who they are. Based on how we come out and play against Florida. So
yeah, it'll be one of those. It'll be one of those games where we know whether or not the season is saved or not. Like, that's how much it matters. That's how much the performance matters. Like, I'll come out of that game being like, okay, this is still a potential playoff team, or this is a team that ain't no good. And that could be win in both those scenarios. So yeah, man. Disappointing loss. We'll see how the team responds. And I'm excited, man. I'm still excited about the season. We still have a lot of fun games coming up, so we'll see.
We shall see. Folks, that's all we've got for this Vol Talk episode. We reviewed the unfortunate loss on the road to the Arkansas Razorbacks, 19-14. We are we hope to bounce back against the Gators coming to Neyland this Saturday. We're going to continue with our regular schedule. So this episode you are hopefully watching at 10 a.m. sharp on Monday. Today is Monday, and then our Florida preview episode will drop on Thursday at 10 a.m. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and drop a sub for us, drop a like, drop a comment, turn on the notifications for the podcast so you can watch right when or listen, right when the episodes drop. Follow us on Spotify. If you need a good, YouTube, you can't just listen, right? You got to have the video up. So if you need to just listen while you're commuting, then give us a follow on Spotify. Vol Talk on Spotify. You'll be able to just listen if you need the audio. We're gonna keep trucking with the podcast, even though we had an unfortunate loss against Arkansas. And like Austin said, we're still hopeful, man, that they're gonna turn the ship around and get to the playoffs. So we hope you'll join us for the rest of the season. We appreciate y'all joining us for this episode, and we'll see y'all on Thursday. See you.
GBO.